forget to hit the record button. And I've learned in this whole new Zoom universe that we're in, Jason, that if you make it auto record, you get everybody that wants to check into the meeting like an hour early, and they go, oh, it's not time yet, and they get off, and I get recordings of all that. So I'm learning. So hope everybody's doing really, really good. Hey, next week we have a couple of great guests on. I'm still confirming up one of the top producers in the KC Metro. I think he's going to be on, as well as Matt Sutter. And it's just going to be awesome with Glover U. It's going to be a fantastic call. So, all right, so we're ready to get started. I've got a really good friend and a guy that I respect immensely. Jason Abrams is on the call. He is currently the Vice President of Industry, works directly with Gary Keller. And I had him on a call, I think it was last week, Jason, where he made fun of my haircut, first of all. But then I know he's just jealous of this. It takes mad skills, haircutting skills, to get this thing going. But then he gave us so much value. I wanted him to come on here and share with you as well. So, Jason, my friend, thanks so much for being on here. Usually these are interviews, but you, my friend, I'm just spin the top, let it go. So thanks for being on the call, my friend.
Thank you for having me. And right off the break, I want to just thank everybody. Like, your time is so valuable, and the fact that you're spending it and you're letting me do it, I'm honored. And I want to thank you on behalf of all consumers. Now, I know that sounds kind of strange, but I'm seeing story after story after story on Facebook and in emails where real estate agents right now are leading the charge in your own way. You're amazing first responders. You're reaching out to people, you're talking to people, and it is so vitally important. And that's, Lucas, if you wouldn't mind, that's kind of what I want to chat around, right? I want to give you guys some ideas on where I think this is going and how I would be dealing with it. And I want to give it to you from the independent real estate agent all the way to if you own a larger team. And I think right now you have to get clear on the fact that everyone kind of thinks there's this Death Star, right, for lack of a better word, that's like hanging over us. But people can't see it, but they know it's there. And they're waiting for this laser to shoot out of it and change everything for them. And hopefully, gosh willing, that won't happen to all of us. I'm hoping that no one here gets sick, and we're going to get through this. And so if you're willing to accept that idea, then you're forced to kind of ask, what should you be doing right now? And here's the way that I think about the marketplace. I think right now the world in regards to housing is like this bow that's being drawn back really hard. And in it, it's full of this energy. And this energy is everybody that wanted to buy and sell prior to these lockdowns. Like, they still want to buy and sell. Spending 3 weeks in their homes, not being allowed to leave, hasn't changed that. In fact, it's magnified that for a lot of us, because our schools have become kind of the church house and the schoolhouse and our homes and all these different ways. And so they want to move. And then you have this whole new group of people that maybe didn't necessarily want to move, but now they do, because their businesses maybe won't recover from this, and they're going to need to right size. Then you have other people who they're in the right place at the right time with the right business, and they're going to want to upsize. And then you have other people who are having babies during this time. And all of this is happening. And it's this energy, and it's going to be let go, and it's going to shoot forward. And I think you guys are going to see incredible demand on the other side of this. An incredible number of people that want to list their homes that are holding off, and an incredible number of people that want to buy. Keep in mind, you had far more people that wanted to buy and sell real estate than real estate that was available prior to this. That hasn't changed. And I think you're going to be really in demand. And so the question is, well, at a time like this, when you can't go out and capture market share necessarily, what can you capture? And so the goal hasn't changed. We still need to score touchdowns. The plays we've changed, though, they have. And so what I would like to submit to you is you need to be capturing mind share right now in absence of being able to capture market share. See, what usually happens is you capture market share first. You work with someone, they become a past client, you now own a place in their mind, and then you follow up with them over time with frequency and intensity. You got to go the other way right now, where you got to capture mind share, which ultimately will lead to market share once the market normalizes. And here's the danger. You see, right now, your customers are watching CNBC, and they're watching the value of their stock portfolios and bonds going up and down in this really volatile way. It goes all the way down 60%, and then up, and then down. And they get crazy, and it creates a lot of fear. And your job as a fiduciary is to start to help control some of that fear, because what people do is they see a news story that says we're going into recession, and they immediately think that the last recession is an indicator of what this recession is going to feel like. And they remember their housing values going down 60 or 70% in some markets, and they're like, oh my gosh, it's going to happen again. Well, friends, I don't see that, but they don't know. You see, this isn't being caused by some dramatic change to mortgage-backed securities. This is a health pandemic. The fundamentals in real estate were really good going in. The 30-year rate today is 3.5%. The values of their houses are not plummeting. But you know what? How would you expect them to know that if you're not the person telling them? That's the focusing question here. You need to be giving the presidential address to your data bank right now. At times of crisis, people need to hear from their leaders. Love them or hate them, they need to hear from their leaders. That's just part of it. And you need to be the president of your data bank. And this means, number one, you have to connect with your people. And I do it in this order: past clients, sphere of influence, everybody else. That's the order I do it in. And you need to be doing this with your people right now. You need to, number one, be telling them that everything is going to be okay. Number two, you got to be telling them that you're still here. And number three, you have to be educating them about the real estate market, which is we have not started to see prices fall. What we have started to see is tons of people writing offers that are stupid and ridiculous lowball to try to get a deal. By the way, the seller controls the market. They'll control whether they start giving these deals. You might be too far on the front end of this thing to start seeing deals pop up, but let's be real. There's going to be some deals here, but everything is not going to be a deal, and everything is not going to be on sale. And if you went to buy a Ferrari today, it was the same price as it was 3 weeks ago. Spoiler alert, you still need a bunch of money to own one. Those things haven't changed. But if you're not the one telling your consumer that, then who is? I'll leave that sit awkwardly for a moment. Either someone else or no one. And that's the problem, because they're in their own Superman fortress of solitude, alone right now, creating their own stories in their mind. You realize that real estate agents, one of the things you do so well is you help others control their fear. When you get a phone call the day after you go under contract and someone says, oh my gosh, are we making the right choice? We call that buyer's remorse. Said differently, I'm afraid. And I want to be reassured. Even if it's the best decision in my life, I still want to be reassured. That's the value we provide. That's part of being fiduciary. You have to be doing that right now for your entire data bank. In the absence of true leadership, people listen to whoever is speaking loudest. And if you abandon your people when they need you most, then you are actually the opposite of a leader. I'm begging you, please get in front of your people right now. Use the Adele script. Hello, how are you? That's it. That's the whole script. Just use that and you'd be light years ahead, because you know what? There's a ton of people not making that call. The next thing that we all have to do, and we have to do this for our businesses and we have to do this for our homes. You guys, we have got to get our finances in order. I'm not saying they weren't in order before. I am saying that you need to slow down and reassess. And here's the reason why you need to start cutting your expenses right now. It's not because you can't afford them. That's not the reason. So get that out of your head. It's because every dollar you don't spend on an expense is a dollar that you're going to get to invest in a great opportunity on the other side of this thing. Now, what are some of these opportunities going to look like? Well, long term, you're seeing stocks and bonds, companies that are great companies on sale for 40 to 60% off. Those are good things to buy. Other opportunities, there's going to be real estate deals that are going to be good deals. You might see them pop up in the small apartment owners. You're going to see them pop up in people that can't handle interfluence of cash flow. And you're going to see some people want to sell their house that may have been slow to do it, because when the train stops going up, 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 up and starts to level a little, that's when people reassess. There's going to be value there. And you're really going to see it with talent. Meaning if you've been waiting to make that first hire, or you've been waiting to super crop your team, or you've been waiting to top grade some of the lower level talent in your company, there is 17 million people who had a job 3 weeks ago that don't have a job today. My heart goes out to every single one of them. And the best way to honor them might be for us to invest in them, and they come in and they become a catalyst for your wealth determinant, and they bring an explosion into your business. That's an awesome thing to invest in. People think investments has to be stocks or bonds. Friends, it doesn't. The best investment you're ever going to make is in people. in the form of leverage. And there's, in my lifetime, there's never been a better opportunity to find people, really good people, quality people. And I want to tell you, if you're not cutting your expenses to save $1 so that you can go invest it later, I think you're making a mistake. Think of it like this. Expenses are things that you pay every month to maintain continuity of service or convenience. Think about it. You pay the air conditioning bill, that's convenience. You pay your third-party tech fee if you choose to, that might be continuity of business for you. That's what we're paying expenses for. Investments are not that. Investments are things that we demand at least a 4x return on. Every dollar you don't spend in an investment is a dollar that you get to actually invest. It's massively important, you guys. Cut the expenses to go heavier on the investments. That's why you're doing it. And to do it, use a simple model. Make a list of every expense you have for your home. Do it. And if you haven't done it in a while, spoiler alert, that's because you've all been making a good living, but I promise you there was a time in your life where you actually had a household budget and household expenses, and you're not that far away from it. Make the list. Then go through and make a list of every expense in your business, every one of them. You run your home like your business. Then I want you to just get 3 buckets. Bucket number 1, these are all the things that I cannot live without. I have to have them. Your MLS fees for your business, you got to have it. Your mortgage payment, you got to make it. Like, give me the have to stuff. Then bucket number 2, this is all the stuff that you prefer, that you like to keep. These are the things I want to have. You don't need them, but you want them. The question you're asking in bucket number 2 is, which of these things can I live without? And which of these things am I not squeezing every drop of value out of? Friends, if you're paying for a third-party CRM and you haven't went in and audited it in the last 6 months, spoiler alert, you have people you have not been contacting. You have notes that are incomplete. You have reminders and things that are past due. And if you run a team, I promise you this is rampant. That may have been okay during the greatest real estate recovery the world's ever known. It is not okay when the market shifts. You got to squeeze the value out of everything. Then in bucket number 3, this is all the stuff that you just have because you've been doing well. You don't use it. You don't need it. It might have not been relevant to you today, and maybe it was 60 days ago. I was paying $50 a month for internet, for Wi-Fi when I'm on airplanes. I'm not on any more airplanes, you guys. Like I just don't need that right now. I'm cutting that. Sirius XM radio, I don't even remember what color my car is. I'm not allowed to leave my home. I don't need to be paying for that right now. The Peloton, I didn't ride that thing when the market was good. I hung up clothes on it. And I was okay paying for it because I felt better about myself. I'm not paying for it right now. It's $40 a month that I'm reallocating into future investment. I'm doing it, and I'm cutting those things now. Third-party technologies, guys, you make sure you're getting the most out of the technology that's being provided by your brokers right now. If you're with KW, I got to tell you, I take the Pepsi challenge against any product that's out there on the street. And if you're not with KW, look up and ask yourself, what value am I getting? And what are the things that I'm paying for that I can replace with something that I'm getting as a service from the people I'm choosing to be in business with? And it might mean that you run your business a touch differently, but you know what? You get to ask the business question. Is the money I'm going to save worth maybe making a tweak in my business, or the time I'm going to spend making a transition? By the way, when you make a transition from one piece of technology to another, you get to choose whether that's an inconvenience or an opportunity. If I was moving over from one piece of third party, like a CRM, to another, I'd be calling every single person in it and letting them know I'm moving them to a new system and they're going to be getting a new monthly neighborhood nurture. Everyone I would talk to would simply be a new connectivity piece for me. And I promise if you did that, you'd find a bunch of people you haven't spoken to in gosh knows how long, and they would be deals. And you know why you don't speak to them often enough? Because while you're running around directing the 3-ring circus that is life, you don't have time to check in with everybody in your world. Fair, no judgment. But if there's any gift of this thing, and I could never think of a single gift of a virus where real people are in pain. But if there is one, it's that the whole world is slowing down a little bit. Some of us, you guys, let's just be real. Some of us have been running faster for longer than at any other point in our life, because when times are good, we just go, and life creates inertia, and inertia keeps things moving, and life creates its own gravity. And real estate is this full contact sport game that takes over everything in our worlds. There, I said it. You know how I know it's true? Because when y'all post pictures of your vacations, you have laptops on beaches, and we're actually proud of that in this industry. That's how crazy we are. That said, it's all slowing down right now. And we can re-margin and reassess what's important to us and what's important to our business. And here's what I know. I know that people do business with people they like, period. And in times like this, it's easier than ever to be liked. You know why? Because there's so many people. Here's how I judge my day. Who started their day feeling frown face and who ended their day feeling smile face, and how many of those people was I in the middle of? Meaning, how many people can I change to feel good about their day or feel better about their hour when it's over? Guys, that's why I'm doing calls like this. My dream is that 10% of you actually feel better when this is over than you did when it started. You know why? Because that's the highest mission. You know, you wouldn't be on this call if you weren't a natural leader, if you weren't a change agent. Being a change agent and being a natural leader, that's kind of the personality profile to be a real estate agent. That's agnostic against all brands. We're all like that. That's just who we are. We solve problems rapidly, we create them as rapidly, and we make people feel good. That's just what we do here. That's why we're a knuckle-to-knuckle, belly-to-belly, people-to-people business. That's why I'm going to tell you, I don't think anyone wants to swipe right to buy a house. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't think technology is going to replace realtors. I do think what people are telling you, though, and I think the consumer gets anything they want on a long enough timeline. Right now, what they're saying is, I want to look at less homes, but I want them to be more of the right houses. This means things like virtual showings and making sure that you have these walkthroughs are going to become more important. I think they're saying, I want a more streamlined transaction, not the absence of a person, but a person who can make my life easier. That's where we're headed, which is do the whole transaction on your cell phone with a login. That's the technology that we're trying to build right now. I think people are saying, I want more search, but I want search to be more human. Friends, when search is more human search. That's why if you go to kw.com right now, you can type in a landmark. You can type in the Las Vegas Strip or the White House or Mile High Stadium or Soldier Field. And before you know it, it's going to take you to that point because that's how people think. They wake up and they say, my kid got accepted to Colorado State, and they search Colorado State, and boom, they're on campus. And then they start to pull out and they start to see the homes that are available. That's human. And that's where you're headed, and that's where we're going. You realize that your friends are sitting at home and cutting their own hair right now?
Nice, Jason.
Like, that's where we are. No one could have seen this coming, but if you fail to stand up and make a change, you're not a part of the solution. And so the change that you have to make, the focusing question is, what are the problems that my consumers are facing today that I can help them solve? Now, we used to think of it only in terms of real estate, but let's just use the cutting the expenses thing as the example that I just laid out. Raise your hand, because I can see y'all. Raise your hand if you have a financial advisor. Any of you guys? Cool. Now, put your hands down. Raise your hand if your financial called you, your advisor called you in the last 3 weeks to tell you to make a list of all your household expenses and make sure you're cutting them and to get your cash flow in order. Just go ahead, raise. Oh, none? Weird. I thought they were the ones that were supposed to be the fiduciaries for our money. It's not just how do I invest it. It should be how do I actually keep it. If it's important enough to focus on making, it's certainly important enough to keep. Y'all can do that for your customers. If you called every one of your clients and said, look, right now is the time to make a household budget and revisit everything you're paying, I think you should do that for all of your vendors. But you have to do it for mortgage and homeowners insurance. If you haven't refinanced and we're looking at 30-year fixed mortgage rates in the 3.5%, and you haven't called your people and asked them if they need to talk about it, keeping in mind, by the way, if you refinance into 3.5, you then skip the next month's payment. Meaning if you're a realtor and you're experiencing a cash flow problem and you haven't refinanced yet, might be a good time to think about it. You got to be looking at that right now. You also have to be telling your people they got to be getting a better deal on their homeowners insurance. Homeowners insurance goes up every single year. Well, why? It's just one of those things in life. In case you haven't noticed, everything goes up every year until you call and say no more. You got to call your cable providers. You got to call your wireless phone providers. You got to call your third-party tech providers. You got to call your homeowner insurance people. You got to tell everybody right now we're all partners, and I want to pay less. I believe that. And I think you got to take that message to your homeowners. Then I think you got to solve their product problem for them, which is they got new problems. And y'all need to be the voice of them. I don't think you should be doing informational interviews on your own about like how to work out at home. I do think you need to surround yourself with a series of superheroes though. And I think every one of them is in your data bank today. Meaning, who could you do a 10-minute Facebook interview with? You got a personal trainer in there? I'm not the only one who's eating more food because I'm stuck at home. I know I'm not. It's not just me. It's everybody. I have realized, though, Lucas, I made the joke the other day that any pizza you eat alone, regardless of the size, that's a personal one. Mm-hmm. I'm not the only one discovering this. But if you get on Facebook and you interview a personal trainer, give them our people 10 minutes on how to work out at home, that's something people will watch. Interview the personal chef on how do you freeze meats. You got a lot of people that are panic buying. Give them the answer. Ladies, y'all got this powdered stuff that you get put on your nails that you need like a construction crew and a permit to remove. I don't know what it is. Interview a manicurist already. I'm seeing pictures of people on tinfoil on their fingers. I don't even know what that is. Interview someone to help them with. That's a real problem. You got a teacher in your data bank? Interview them for 5 minutes on how some of us that are failing can be better at-home teachers. Like, you interview a local nurse or a local doctor because the national news is enough to make you go crazy. Interview someone. Business is local. Give them the local lowdown on what's happening in your hospital. You're going to go viral with that kind of thing. That's a must-see TV on Facebook. You got to be there. Because if you're not there collecting this mind share, you won't be top of mind when it comes time to enjoy market share. You just won't. And small businesses, you got all these small businesses that are in pain. Make a list of all the small businesses in your data bank, please, and get them on the phone. Get those owners and say, how are you? What's going on in your business? How can I help? You know what I know? I know that real estate agents are the most overlooked business people on the planet. We run giant businesses. We go through all this coaching. You tell me the person that owns the beauty salon, what's the coaching company focused on them? I don't know the answer either. I don't even know that one exists. You have a responsibility as a small business owner to reach out to other small business owners in your market and talk to them. Talk them through the book shift. Talk them through how to get their P&L in order. Talk them through all this stuff. Small business stimulus isn't that you ordered Chinese food from a local business. That might support someone for 8 seconds. Pour into them right now. Maybe you make a deal with them. Maybe you say, look, I'm going to pick 10 small businesses within my data bank. I'm going to interview them for 10 minutes on Facebook. Then I'm going to do a mass email to my data bank for them. Then I'm going to do a mass text messaging for them. That's a continuity plan for business stimulus. And in return, here's what I would say. Oh, by the way, when this thing is over, I want to leave my physical 2-page newsletter in your business once a month for the next 12 months. Would you agree to that? And they're all going to say yes. That's called win-win. I'm going to help you get through this, and then this is what I would like. And you know what? They're going to say sure, because people do business with people they like. You also know that every small business owner understands the power of a referral, and that all of them are sitting at home right now. How do you think they feel about you if you called them? Friends, this is what I mean. This picture that I have here, this is a room that you all know really well. It's the Oval Office. This is what it looks like when there's nobody in it. And this is what your data bank looks like when you fail to give the addresses needed. And this is what it looks like when someone's there and caring about it. And the juxtaposition between the two, friends, it couldn't be clearer. And you're making the decision right now. Look, leadership isn't I'm there when times are great and I'm vacant when they're not. Leadership is I'm there when it's tough, and I think you got to be there. The next thing I think you got to do, if you own a team right now and if you're producing or you own a brokerage, I know we have some of our indie brothers and sisters on here. Thanks for being here. Y'all got to take a serious look at the vision for your company right now. I think that if you're running a team or a brokerage, you have to set a 90-day vision for the firm. Not a 5-year vision, not your 1-year vision, because you know what? You guys are as clueless as I am about what the next year holds. And anyone on TV who tells you they know what's happening, they're lying to you also. None of us know what's happening. You need a 90-day vision. And maybe that vision is we're going to capture mind share. And maybe that vision is we're going to blank. Whatever it's going to be. Step one, create the 90-day vision. That's your responsibility as a leader. And by the way, if you're an individual practitioner, you don't get off on this. You don't just get absolved by it. You better create a 90-day vision for your life and for how you're going to think about your business, or you're going to go on the realtor roller coaster of emotion where you wake up tomorrow, you see a news article, it says things are getting better, you're on cloud 9. 2 days later, you see the stock market crashes and you think the world's coming to an end. You need a compass or you're not going to know how to behave. You need a 90-day vision. Then you got to get together in a group of all of the people that work with you, and you got to cast that vision. This is where we're going. Then you have to meet one-on-one with each of the people in your world, and you're going to have to assign some new tasks. Because if we have a new vision, it's only natural we're going to need some new tasks in order to accomplish it. Once you have these new tasks laid out, then you're going to have to create a new 30, 60, 90. And friends, those of you that don't know what that is, it's a 30-day plan, then a 60-day plan, and a 90-day plan that shows incremental path towards our greater vision. That's not just when you hire a new employee. That's any time that the core functionality or the core mission of anything that you're involved with in life changes. Meaning if you wake up tomorrow and you say, you know what, I want to get in amazing shape, you better have a 30-day plan, a 60-day plan, and a 90-day plan to get there so you can track it. And you better know what you're going to do the morning you wake up and you don't feel like getting in shape anymore, because that's just called being human. Because if you fail to plan that way, it just becomes a lost idea. It goes from being a plan to being a bunch of hope. And in times like this, don't get me wrong, hope is important, but hope isn't enough. Once you have the new tactics laid out and you've written out this 30, 60, 90-day plan, you're going to get some people in your life that say, I don't want to do those things. And you know what? Cool. Everybody gets to make those decisions. And we love them and we're going to support them. But you need to be surrounded by people that share your vision and want to go where you're going. And you know what? If they have a better idea, bless them. And if they can't go along with this journey, bless them too. Let's honor them and let's try to find a different journey for them to go on. Because it's okay when different paths diverge. What isn't okay is pretending they didn't and then hanging in there. That doesn't honor anybody. And then the last step is once we've done this, now we have to have meetings about it. And there's two types of communication. We have casual communication and we have actual laid out fundamental, whatever you want to call it, formal communication. Casual communication is I see you every day and we talk. Casual communication is we share an office. Casual communication is all of those things. They're all gone right now. We're in our locker rooms by ourselves at home. If those things are gone, then you have to, a thinking person ramps up the formal communication. You don't just do with less. You simply do with what you can do. Formal communication is we're going to do a Zoom call every day for 10 minutes. I'm going to look you in the eye every day. And by the way, that's no fun. I'm not saying that that's the greatest thing in the world. What I am saying is that this is terrible. People need support right now two ways. They need personal support. That's hello, how are you? How do you feel? What's going on? What can I be doing differently to support you emotionally? Are you okay? What's going on? That's so important. But then they need professional support, which is if we don't do that, you're going to be broke and you ain't going to be able to make your Tahoe payment 90 days from now. So we still have to get some stuff done. So this is what we agreed that's going to happen. Did it happen? And you're going to have to ramp it up. And it's going to feel weird and it's going to feel awkward. And you know what? That feeling you have, that's called love. That's what it's going to feel like. Because on the other side of all of this, keep in mind, all of this is fear. On the way up in any boom, people have the fear that they're going to miss out on it. They have the unrealistic fear of future inclination and acceleration. They say, oh my gosh, if I don't get it now, I'm going to miss out. If I don't overpay, I'm just not going to get a chance. Think about people that do escalation clauses in their offers, which is, oh my gosh, someone else is going to pay more, so I'm willing to pay more. It's like the dumbest thing in the world. It's like, forget the comps, I'll just pay more so I get it. That's just fear of missing out and fear that the next thing won't show up. On the way down, though, it's the fear of an unrealistic deceleration, meaning, oh my gosh, it's never going to come back. It'll just never be the same. There's nothing I can do. I'm completely out of control. It's all just fear. And it's, by the way, when we agree to address fear, it ultimately leads us to the next step, which is usually pain. I'm going to go through this fear and I'm going to feel some pain because this stuff is scary and this stuff is hard. On the other side of fear and pain, friends, that's where freedom lies. That's life's journey. That's what being a Jedi is. It's not having the fear, but it's willing to step up and deal with it. And it's willing to make a plan, and it's willing to say, this is going to hurt like hell. And my responsibility as a human is to get to the other side of it. Because at the end of the day, all of us are just trying to live as big a life as possible. And what that means is we want to help as many people as we can. But there's too many people to help. We can't help everyone. We want to have as many things as we can, but there's too much to have. We want to know as much as we can, but there's too much to know. And if we fail to make the decisions on what we're going to do with our commodity, which is our time, you know what's going to happen at the end of this? The same thing that happened before it. Like, you're either going to look at this moment that you had no choice in, that's been thrust upon us, and it's either going to be another moment in a long history of moments where the exact same outcome happened because you made no changes, or it's going to be that part of your life that you can look back and say, the greatest blessing I ever had was what was some of the greatest tragedy other people had. And you know what? That's human. Right now, I want you to ask the last question, and I'm going to give it back to you. What do you need to be filling your head with right now to get through this time? What are the new skills that you need to have? And by the way, that's scary. Some of you are going to have to get really comfortable with some technology that you don't like. Zoom was a technology you didn't like and you're using it. It's not that you're not a tech person, you guys. If you're not a tech person, then you'd be taking your clothes down to the stream and beating it clean. But you're a tech person because you use a washing machine. All you are is afraid of new tech. And you know what? That's okay. But you may have to fill your head with some new technology. There's going to be some new ways of thinking you're going to need. If you haven't read the book Shift, then it's just dumb pride that you haven't, because it's a textbook written by the guy that writes the textbooks that the entire industry uses on how to get through times like this. And it's absurd. And then you're going to have to ask yourself, what do I need to put my head in to keep my business where it is? And then what do I need to put in my head to keep my soul where I need it to be? There are going to be different answers, but you have to ask both questions. If it sounds a little preachy, I know. And for an analytical person like me, it feels that way a little bit. But I got to tell you, there's a reason that some companies thrive during crisis. And it's not because their stock price is blank. And it's not just because their tech is blank. It's because they're actually built on a value system. For us, and for our guests here, I'm assuming you're probably part of the same system or you wouldn't be on this call. It's God, family, and then business. That's not just words that we write on walls in market centers. That's not what culture is. Culture is how those things show up when other people are in pain. This is it, you guys. Like, this is that moment where you might change 1 million lives, or you might just change 2. And you know what? Both of those things are the gift. And that's kind of where my head is at. And I guess I just want you all to know, on behalf of Keller Williams International, and I'm Gary Keller and Josh Team and everybody here, we're so grateful for each and every one of you. The strength of our company has never been the brick and steel of the office buildings in Austin. It's that local businesses have local people that have local relationships. He said it in the Red Book. He said real estate is a local business built on local relationships. That's true. The strength of our company is your relationship with your consumers. That's the strength. That's why we work for you. That's why you tell us what to build, and then we try to build it. And sometimes we get it right and it works really well. And other times you guys make fun of us mercilessly and we turn it off and we try again. And that's partnership, and that's invaluable. And I'm so grateful for each and every one of you.
Jason, my friend, you once again nailed it. You're a Jedi with this. And here's what I love. And I had a meeting with a pretty significant producer in this area. And I said, hey, just curious, what are you hearing from your current company and how are they helping? Because I'm thinking, like, I'm going to take some advice and get it. And he said, we're hearing zero. What I love about what you're doing, Jason, is all I have to do is pick up the phone and say, hey, our agents need some help. Can you help? And you said, sure. I mean, it was like a 2-second response, because right now we are simply getting out in front of this and saying, agents, you're the most important part. If you're with other companies, awesome. We love you. And I'm glad you're on. But the thing is, we don't care if you're Keller Williams or you're at ABC Realty. We are all in to help realtors, period, end of discussion. That's what I love about this company, Jason.
Well, now is the time. Everyone get really clear on the fact that helping people is brand agnostic. Like, our job at KWRI is to build you tools that give Keller Williams agents an unfair advantage in their marketplace. And I will never apologize for that. And I wake up every day with that mission. That said, I also am brand agnostic to the point where I want to share models and systems, technology. I want to share this all open. If we didn't feel that way, we wouldn't have released the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book to everyone. We would have just made it a class at our brokerage house. But we didn't. We wouldn't have given everybody the playbook for a shifting market. But here's the thing. A strong real estate industry is good for the American consumer. You got 26% of all the wealth in this nation tied up in the equity in people's homes. Think about that number for a second. That's why residential real estate is the cornerstone of the American dream. It's because it's the cornerstone of most people's financial independence. By the way, who do you think has ensured the fact that that percentage is there? Like, spoiler alert, the only reason it's there is because you guys have been the knights standing there and protecting America's equity. You think Main Street would be better off dealing directly with Wall Street with no fiduciary in the middle? The people in New York would love to have you believe that, but it's patently absurd. We protect that equity. It's there because of us. That's our responsibility. So when we say things like we got to protect the real estate agent's position within the transaction side by side next to the consumer, it isn't to protect commissions. It's to protect everything else.
Yeah, our infinite game isn't just the agent. The agent is the pathway to the infinite game. Our infinite game is to protect Americans, homeowners' wealth by keeping a fiduciary at the center of it. So.
That's exactly right. And I'll tell you, you guys have this moment, and Lucas, I'll give you back your call because I know you got other people that want to talk. You guys have this moment. And if you've been waiting for another one, I want you to consider this. It took 14 years for this one to happen. And I don't know what everybody's time horizon is left, and I make no judgment. But if you're not going to change your actions right now to positively affect humanity, which sounds crazy, but every time you help one homeowner, that's what you're doing. Then I'd love for you to ask.
This is that moment. Jason, I appreciate you, my friend.
Thanks for having me, everybody. I'm grateful.
Yeah. So, hey guys, listen, from one of the greatest thought leaders and vice president of industry in the entire industry, and that's not just Keller Williams, that's the entire industry. We're shifting now to one of the top agent coaches in the entire industry as well. And he's with MAPS. However, he's one of the best in the industry. So Joe Bogar, are you on the call as well?
I am.
Hey, Joe. So, hey, Joe, I appreciate our relationship, our friendship. And I know that, coming in after Jason, everything feels like a real slowdown and a low down on energy. It's just like, I love how passionate he is. Before you start in with what you want to share with our group, and you coach some of the top elite real estate teams in the entire world, that pay a lot of money to coach with you. Give me some of your ahas off of what Jason just said. What hit you?
Well, first of all, you're correct about Jason. One of the things I love about Jason is I thought I was a quick communicator. That guy makes me look like nothing. His energy and what he brings to the table. So that being said, let's pivot to your question. So for those who don't know me, I'm Joe Bogar. I've had my real estate license for 26 years. I got into business in a shift. And back in '93 in Denver, Colorado, I've been through, this is going to be my fourth shift I'm being involved in, this time mostly as a coach. And two of the shifts we went through were pretty light, and one was a real big one, which was in 2007 and 2008, Lucas. And go with what Jason talked about. Basically, he just dissected a lot out of the shift book. And that's something I thought we could spend a little time on even today. And however we want to make this a dialogue with you and me, or I'll just share what some of the teams are doing, we can go both ways. So how do you want me to run with this?
Let's just start there. What's if we were to go the number one thing you're telling all your top teams and watching them pivot in the middle of all this? What's the number one tactic? Because this could get real tactical for the agents. We got 310 people listening in. So what would you say the number one thing is that you're seeing the most?
So I can share a screen, correct?
Yep.
Okay, awesome. So here's the number one thing we talked about in the beginning. And this comes from Simon Sinek, and it's just, well, not from him, but he shared this a while back ago, about 3 years ago. And it's out of the law of diffusion and innovation. And what we did with our teams is we had to make a choice. we knew that this time was coming, meaning sometime we were going to be in a shift. Gary Keller had talked about it for 3 years. Saying, be prepared, be ready to go. Now, what's interesting, some of the teams I coached with, they, in spite of what this is, meaning the virus is what kicked everything to happen in our economy and how we're living now, was that they had been saying to me, I've been waiting for this time. Why? Because they were clear about what they wanted to first be. They wanted to be the innovators and experiment and practice. And we're going to break that down, like what are the things they did? And then, so when we look at this, and by the way, I want to back up one other time. When I went through these other shifts, here's what I noticed. I mean, all this is just a formula. Can y'all see this, by the way? Lucas, can you see this, the all different innovation?
Yeah, you're drawing on your screen a little bit, but yeah, I see that.
Okay. There you go. That's nice. So what you'll look at is on this is you get to make a choice, and it's still not too late to be the innovator or the early adopter. And that means you're going to make some choices now. The rest of our industry are hoping, wishing, putting their hands on their bottom and hoping that things will change and come back to where they were before. I can tell you my experience in 2007 and 2008, that did not happen. There were so many great, well-known agents that were in my hallway in the Denver Tech Center. And I'll never forget this because my office was on the corner, and there was another team, Jake Genger and Roxanne were together on the other side. And we watched agents all around us who were good producing agents leave our business during that time because they kept on thinking that the market's going to change. It will all get better. Well, we all know everything has a cycle, but the key thing was the market was changing, and there were agents who were hoping and wishing the way they had been doing business would just go back and be the same way. The fact was that it didn't happen. And so we saw a lot of people in our hallway just empty out. It was tough. It was challenging times. And I felt for those agents who ended up leaving our industry who didn't change. That being said, we have now a chance to go look back and have 20/20 hindsight. And that means us. I'm an agent. I'm one of us. Is that we have a chance to go do something about it. And it's not too late. And I want to say that again. You could be in the early adopter or the innovators right now. And that means when Gary talks about is about being disruptive or allowing your business to grow organically. This is the time you're going to think disruptively. And I'll share with you some practices. If you do it now and you choose now, meaning not next day or the next day, but today, like after this course, and you lay out a plan, and for those of you who've already done so, go get them. You got it, you have clarity on it, keep working on it. For those who have not, it is time now to go put that plan together. Because you choose to do that, you're going to gain market share. You're going to be the one who gets to be the voice. Jason talked about that earlier, about being the voice. You get to be the voice and not let the media or what social media is doing or portraying what's happening out there. You get to be the one who communicates that. So
Joe, what's really important about this, and I want to make sure, because I had 3 conversations yesterday where I was talking to leaders who are looking at this, and they're like looking at their current business and saying, I don't feel like I'm good at this. I don't feel really good. I hate feeling bad. Here's the thing. The people who are innovators and early adopters have to get used to the fact that they're not good at what they're doing because they've never done it that way before.
That's right.
That's when we have to say, it's not about what I feel. I mean, good grief, Joe, you and I talk a lot. I wake up daily and like, I don't feel good about what I'm doing. I'm not succeeding. I feel terrible. I hate beating myself up. But guess what? Innovators, early adopters say, I don't care how I feel right now because that's just an emotion. I'm going to take a stand for my people and go grow my business right now. It's a big deal, Joe. That innovation thing, I've been chewing on that since you and I talked about it 2 weeks ago. Feelings are deceptive.
Yeah.
Taking a stand right now is imperative.
Yeah, it is. And by the way, perfection's overrated. This doesn't.
Yeah.
And
Lord.
Yeah, and so when you want to think about this, Lucas, is that the key thing is you're going to get out there and make a declaration. So the next part I want to go and share with you all is a plan of the team that I'm coaching with. And what they did is they did what they call it was their COVID-19 protocol. And here's what they did, they've done now 4 phases. We're in phase number 4. This was early on in their phase, and here's how they addressed the team. And Jason said this earlier, and he's quoting out of pages, and by the way, this is the shift book, and you go to page 41 and 42, and you can look at it later, and that you as the CEO, and by the way, if it's just you and you have an assistant, you are still the CEO. So I want to be clear about that. You're the leader. And if you have a big team, that means 3, 4, 5 more people, then it really applies to you. And that is this. They made a declaration, and here's what they did. They said the following: it's mission critical during this time that we keep our collective energy and focus on our only goal during this time, thriving. Remember, where focus goes, energy flows. So as a leader, they were clear about they're going to start making a stand. And I want you to hear the rest of this. Every realtor in this city, all meaning and humans, will have control over two things in the next few weeks: effort and attitude. And this space is where we all will shine. We are all smart humans who understand and truly get energy and power. Our mindset and attitudes will have on our results and outcomes as we chart into this new territory together. I want you to listen to this, the power of the words they're choosing. We're charting. This is something that's cool. It's exploring. It's you getting the ability to grow your business. And I'm going to go ahead. I got a notice on this about screen. I got to keep on screen sharing. So just trust me on this. My wife is awesome. She's like, stop screen sharing. You can't see everybody. Well, we got to do this part so you can see this.
No, this is really good.
Attitude will be the difference maker of surviving and thriving, and we will feel blessed to be in partnership with each one of you and grateful for the core we have so we may thrive into greatness that God created us to be in. So this is from the Ricky Kane team in Austin. And what Ricky and Cody K did is we put together a plan, and we knew that there were going to be phases to this plan. First, we needed to get everyone on board, kind of get over the shock. By the way, that didn't happen in 2007 and 2008. It felt like it was a little bit of a shock. More to me was in the shift we experienced in 2001 when 9/11 occurred. That was an immediate, in-your-face, business just happened to us in a whole new way. And for those who were in business during that period of time, you know what I'm talking about. So what they did next is then they put together a system. And the system they did is, here's what they declared for the team. We're going to do the following. From 8:15 to 8:45, we're going to script practice. And then from 8:45 to 9, we're going to do a stand-up as a team. And all we're going to do is the following. We're going to check our goal for the year versus actual, where we're in relationship. What's our one priority to move our business forward? And everyone on their team shared this. Where will we lead generate? And our focus will be that day. And what are we most grateful for? So they all, at the end of the lead generation, they would go from 11:15 to 11:45. They would get into their calls, and they would get in their calls, and at 11:15 they would stop. And from 11:15 to 11:45, they would do a team huddle again and do a check-in where they were, the number of contacts they've done, number of appointments they've made, and who are the follow-ups. So they put a plan together. So Lucas, one of the big things, and I'll stop sharing this right now so we can go to that, the protocols, they had a plan in place. This is what we talk about being disruptive. They, as a leader, stood in. So I want to go to page 41 real quick. And when you go to the shift book, for those that don't have it, I'll just read to you what I was referring to. And I'll flip to that right now. And here's what it starts on page 42, actually, where you get the 7 steps on the talent shift. And it says, sit down with your people and share your vision of your business. Sounds familiar, what Jason just did a little while ago, right? You talked about as a leader, we're going to do is share our vision. Number 2, next part, he said, tell them the truth about the situation where the business is today and where you see it going. That's where you get as a leader and what you're planning to do. Then number 2, visit with each person to see if they will, I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Joe. I got it. Okay. I got them.
Visit with each person to see if they're with you and they're willing to do whatever it takes. And then you can read through the rest. So I'll help y'all look at that. Just because of time, we won't have enough to go through that. And yet, Lucas, one of the things that what this team did, as you can see, is what they chose to do is by working together as a group, they also went into Zoom as a team. So when they were prospecting, they did it as a team. Well, here's what was interesting. Jason kind of alluded to this some. They had, in the first week when they started doing this, they had 7 other people, other agents reach out to them from other companies who said, I am not experiencing what you have. I feel alone. I don't get the support from my office, and I would love to be a part of your culture. And how do I join your team? And so it became a recruiting tool for them also, because they had people who they were going to be recruiting into their team, and they wanted to keep on adding on. So it did 2 purposes. It's created a culture which they declared what they wanted to be. And number 2 is they went and it made a recruiting on a passive side, which they didn't expect that to happen that way.
Well, and Joe, here's a big thing I hear in that. And if we could get, I'm going to post this on my public profile later today. I'll tag you in it. If we could get you to copy and paste that declaration and put it in there in the comments, that would be awesome. But here's what I know. right now, attitude is contagious. And I work with my coach. You know, Mike, we share a coach. And my coach is saying, if you're not seeing results, it's mindset or activities or skill. The challenge is I could train skill. Mindset is an individual choice. Yeah. And what they did is like, we're going to start with the mindset, and then we're going to commit ourselves to the only activity that matters, which is lead gen. And then we're going to develop skills inside that activity.
So I'm going to jump on that. In fact, because I'm going to be doing this with the Tech Center, and I did this with the Southeast Market Center or last week it was. And you can just write down these 4 words. I agree with that, coach. There's one other piece you want to add in there. So the first one, if you want to just do a line down on each one, would be the word mindset. And the second word you put down below, you should write this down, is the word systems. The third word below that one is going to be the word skill set, your skills. And the one below that is your commitment. And Lucas, you said it well. So when you look at mindset, first thing you want to do is you want to check in on your own energy. I would go to page 308 and I would look at the page on, so let's go 308 in the MREA, and I'll just read this fast too. No, I won't read it because I'm looking at our time. Here's what I'd like you to do. I want you to commit that you're going to read through the energy plan and ask yourself this question. After you look through the 5 questions that which Gary and Jay wrote down, is which one is standing out to me the most? And what do I choose to do about that? So I did this with everybody I coached, by the way, and they were doing this with their own team members. So again, if you're by yourself, this is a perfect way for you to self-reflect and then share this with somebody who you should be accountable with. If you're in a team, then you should be talking about this with your own team members. And then decide, is it meditate and pray? Or is it exercise and eat? I want to change the way I'm doing my habits, whatever that is, okay? So that's going to be a real big piece. This team, because they've done this, and all the teams that I'm coaching, by the way, this team with Ricky Kane and their team is very similar to a lot of the other teams I'm working with, Lucas, to answer your question. And so after they went through this, now they picked out what that one thing is. They're going to go focus on that one, not all 5. Just go do one of those, and let's get into a routine on that, whatever that is. And so the one that goes with mindset, the other piece is, what are you saying to yourself about the market today? And that is this a place where, hey, this is tragic? And yes, it is. Don't want to belittle that at all. Yet knowing that there are going to be people out there who need my help. And they don't need, it's just like what happened in 2000 and 2007 and 2008 also. And that is, we get to make a story of our own, meaning those people are going to have either people like me who can come and help them and give them the professional advice and guidance they need, or somebody who doesn't know what they're doing. And this is going to allude to the next part. How do I know I'm a professional and I can give them the right guidance? I go to page 156 in the shift book. And I look under the 7 maximums on page 156 in the shift book. And funny enough, Jason alluded to this. And the first one is, be a student of your market and know your numbers. Think about this. How do I become a student of the market? It's knowing what the act is, under contracts, and solds. And then look at your multi-year trend over the last several years and see where we are today. I'll give you a classic example, Lucas, on this. And this was a team that I coached that's in New Jersey, New York area. And last week, there were 309 homes that went on the market. Now, out of that, 315 homes, 15 homes sold that same week. Exactly. So he's got a story to tell because he understands his numbers. Now he can give the seller, when the seller is saying, I don't want to sell my home. And by the way, depending on the area where they are in New York or New Jersey, some only can do it by virtual, right? And that's all they're doing. They can't get out. So they're doing all this virtually, by the way. And the seller is saying, I can't sell my house. Now he can sit there and let me tell you a story that's actually happening in New York right now, in the New York, New Jersey area. And by the way, were you aware there were 308 homes that actually went on the market? And more importantly, 315 sold last week. Does that sound like we're in a recession market? No, not at all. So the key thing is, where are you getting your research and data? Again, if you're only getting it from the media and from what you're seeing on social media, and you're not doing your own research, and that's being a student of your market, then you're doing a disservice to your clients. And that is critical. So by the way, when you've done your research on the market and you know what's happening out there, Now you can be able to tell your story, and you can translate that story to the seller or to the buyers, both. It's a great opportunity to go into what one of the teams, I did with all the teams last week, is we decided to front load May. So we know that the shelter in place at that this time is right now like the first week of May or so that's going to be released. Well, you get options. And here's what we talked about doing with all the sellers who have said, and buyers, you can do the same way. All the sellers have said, I want to wait. I would like to put my house on the market once the shelter in place is done. Well, there's two types of sellers, Mr. and Mrs. Seller. One is the ones who are going to say, now that shelter in place is released, okay, let's go start the process and let's get my house on the market, which means it could be a week to 3 weeks if they got to do work to get the house ready to go. The other type of seller is, I want to get my house on the market and I'd like to also maximize my money. And if you want to maximize your money, the best way to do that is literally the day shelter in place is released, we've hit the switch and your house is already on the market. Now, how do we do that? We do all the prep work ahead of time. So when that happens, that day, you are going to be on the market. There'll be a flood of buyers because we know the interest rates are low. There's buyers out there there's buyers who are buying now. We already know that. And there's going to be another wave of those buyers who've just been waiting to get out there. And when those buyers come, what's it going to do to the value of your home? It's a lot like an auction, isn't it? So that's the other piece we would work with. So I can go further on that, Lucas, but this is one of the goals we're playing with every one of them is we're taking their best month they've listed houses, and we're saying whatever that is, let's do it +1.
Yeah.
And so and all of them are doing. So the team I'm coaching in Alaska, this is Barb Huntley and their team. Last week they took 14 listings, and out of the 14 listings, 9 of those were front loaded, ready to go for the month of May.
There you go.
Yeah, because their goal is to go, they're going to take 36 listings that month. They want to have ready to go by the time they hit 1st of May.
And that's so key, because what this does is the most powerless thing we could do is nothing.
Yeah.
And agents that are sitting back, team leaders that are sitting back, mega teams that are sitting back and waiting for life to happen, they have to get better at this new normal right now. And guess what? You may not do it really well the first few times. You may fail a few times and say, you know what, I'm just not going to do anything. That gives you powerlessness and depression. What you're telling your agents to do is front load it, create urgency. Let's get it on now. So when the floodgates open, you're right there.
We're in partnership. What we've done is everything Jason's talked about already is we went ahead and went through their personal budget. We've gone through their business, and we've shaved all the expenses where we can now. And one of the big things Gary shared about was and Josh Team said this too on Inman when they interviewed him, is that liquidity is going to be king and coming into May and June timeframe. So we set them up for success that way. The other thing we went and looked at all the listings we have now for the sellers and to go ahead and do price adjustments where we're required and get those listings now under contract to take advantage of where the market is. Okay. So again, it's just about being very tactical and being very strategic where they're working with. The last thing they're doing, and part of that, when you look at page 156 in Shift Book, I would also default to page 55 and 65. 55 is when Gary and Josh talk about, Gary and Jay, and they discuss about specifically about looking and studying your market. So where is your business coming from? Sourcing your business, analyzing, is that still relevant today? Because maybe what you're doing is not working. And that may be because the market's already shifted on you and you're not even aware of it. And we're seeing that already happen in some of the locations where I'm coaching with. And what they're looking at is, where's the opportunity here? And that's the other thing. If you want to put down an acronym, would be WTOH. What is the opportunity here? And you look at is when you go to page 65, go through the sources, or page 138 on the MREA. You'll see the same thing. There's a label of all the sources. One of the teams that I'm coaching with, they decided that they're going to get in the probate business. I don't care what your feelings are either way, but they realize that because what does happen is in the market where we're experiencing, where we're living today, 2 things are going to occur. We know that the number of babies are going to increase about 9 months from now. And we know the other thing, which we see is divorce rate goes up. There's 2 stress loads that occur. So one of the things that hard as that is, they want to be in the relationship with these different attorneys so they can have relationships to be able to help those people out.
Love this. So guys, Joe, and you're just like, you're a walking encyclopedia of how to do this. And I appreciate your time. And I'm trusting that everybody's got like specific tactics. And this is what I would say to do is leaving this call. We have literally, and next week, Matthew Sutter's on. I think we're going to have one of the top agents in the Kansas City Metro on. We're going to do the same time every Wednesday for the foreseeable future. But here's the thing. It's on purpose. We're going to open up a floodgate, fire hydrant, throw stuff at you. Take one or two things and take action today. One or two things that you've heard Joe talk about, Jason's talked about, and take very massive action today, because this is my bet. We're going to have people come on the backside of this better off than they went into this.
Best thing.
Go ahead.
Take action. Again, I can tell you why we thrived and our team thrived in the past and through the other shifts. Is because we knew we went ahead and took action. Again, be the innovator or be the early adopter. Don't wait, because even in the early majority means you're going to get less share of growth of your company, what you're going to experience.
And the pain of the innovator, the early adopter, just make peace with this, is you're going to feel like you're bad at everything you're doing.
And that's okay.
For a while. And that's okay. That actually tells me you're being a leader. You're not being a follower. So guys, I love you. Anything we could do, I'm going to take this conversation, post it on my public profile, not my personal page, my public profile, so you could do watch parties, share it, do whatever you need to do. We're here to help you. Tune in next week. It's going to be a great call. Joe, thanks so much, my friend.
Thank you. Appreciate you all.
Bye.